right, welcome to another day on Lima Charlie. Very happily involved in beginning the beautification process of this boat. And you may recall, if you watched any of the earlier episodes when I first got the boat, one of the first things I did was buy a refrigerator and cut out this area that you see here so that it'll fit in, and built a leveling platform on the bottom. And that all has worked out very well. I've really appreciated having the refrigerator. It made a huge difference. But now my desire is to create a way that I can put all of this stuff that you see, like here's the flatware for the dining that I do on board, and utensils, you know, salt and pepper, you know, all that kind of stuff. I just don't have the horizontal space to put all that stuff, or storage area for it, for that matter. So obviously you're looking at the most opportune place to create something that will allow me to stow things away and in a neater and more orderly fashion. So my next project, while at the same time working on the lazarette, underneath the lazarette, where I showed you in the last video how absolutely greasy and filthy and untouched it is, I've cleaned about, maybe a third of it so far, and it looks really, really good. I can get in there without my work outfit on and not come out looking like a grease ball. But anyway, having to do with this area, what I'm going to do is build a cabinet. And I think you can imagine how it's going to look. It's going to, the bottom of the cabinet's going to be here. Anything below this space back here will be lost space, but that's okay because it's really not that usable anyway. So the cabinet's going to, the bottom's going to be here. The top's going to be somewhere up in this area. And I'm going to have 3 drawers. I'll start with a 10-inch drawer, an 8-inch drawer, and a 6-inch drawer at the top. The face of the drawers will be mahogany. It'll be a stained or oiled mahogany, and I think that's going to look really, really good. I'm going to put another sideboard up here for the slides to mount to, and I think in the end it's going to look pretty good. This hose, by the way, that you see back there is the hose that provided alcohol for the alcohol burning stove that used to be mounted here. That tank is still mounted in the lazarette, but it is not going to be there too much longer, and obviously when I pull that, this hose will come out as well. But so that's a project I'm going to be working on this week, is building this cabinet. And once that's done, I'll have just a lot of storage space. One thing that you'll notice, and it's pretty obvious, is that this is the hull that you're looking at here, the brown. And so the drawers and the cabinet will have to be tapered. The shorter drawer clearly on the bottom, further back or a deeper drawer on the middle, and still further on the top. Once that's all done, then what I'm going to do is you'll have the top drawer here. I'm going to take all of this molding off and extend this countertop here, covering the drawer. So then I'll refinish this molding, and I'm going to take off all of this absolutely ugly yellow laminate, and I'm going to replace it with a beautiful, probably Formica brand laminate, and I think that that will make the galley look not only functional, but also much, much prettier and functional than it used to be. So that's where we're at right now in the beautification process, again, while working in the lazarette. So here's something I'm working on at home, guys. In the galley area, I've shown you before where there's a empty space, and I told you that I was going to be building a cabinet of drawers to go in that space, because I need all the storage room I can get for galley materials, as well as other stuff. So this is mahogany wood, and if there was ever any question in your mind as to whether or not mahogany is expensive, it is. I paid, as it turns out, about $20 a foot for a 7-foot section that was 11.5 inches wide. But enough whining about the money. This is what it looks like, and I'm going to use this to finish it. It's a Danish oil, and out of all the research that I've done, apparently this is what would fit this job the best. And then these are the drawer fronts, obviously, and there'll be a little push button latch so that the drawers won't come open when the boat heels, when we're sailing the oceans of the world. And there's already existing sides, bulkheads, in the galley, so these will go, there's 2 pieces here of plywood, and those will go on each side attached to the existing bulkheads that are there, and a space of about 23 inches will be between these two, and that's where the drawers will go. I've already picked up some drawer slides, and because of the shape of the space, this line here represents the hull of the boat. So here's the front of the cabinet, here's the back, and bottom top, of course. And you can see here, perhaps it's a little faint, but here is the line that represents the back of each drawer. So this one can only go back to here. So there's the line for that. This one can go back to here. And then lastly, the top one will go to here. This is a shorter drawer, a little bit longer, and then longest down here. So I'm going to probably use the Watco Danish oil on this as well. I'll see how that goes and make a decision. But anyway, so that's the project that's happening here at the house. So here we are in the lazarette area. The area over here to my right is where you see some stuff in garbage bags. That's area that I've cleaned. You can see it's kind of clean down here. You can see the brand new vent hose here that comes in on the port side of the boat. And then by comparison, you can see the other one here that is the one I'm getting ready to replace. You can see where it goes through the bulkhead there into the quarter berth, and you can see how dirty this side is before I clean it. This is where the drain hose for one of the cockpit scuppers drains. So when it rains, or when you wash out the cockpit, it drains out there, and it also drains out over here on this side, where you can see I've already replaced the hose. One of the things that I wanted to point out is this is the quadrant. So this is what steers the rudder, or moves the rudder, I should say. And then these cables hook up around the quadrant and go to the helm. And when you turn the wheel, it turns this quadrant, which in turn turns the rudder and guides the boat. What I've done here, this is some butyl type tape, so it's kind of a squishy, gooey tape, and the ends of these cables here, where they're sticking out here, it's very, very hard to get into this lazarette area, and when I have in the past, I'll show you evidence. that is what happens, is that you scrape the heck out of your skin. These things are like little razor blades. So this morning, before I decided to get down here into the lazarette, I covered this one with the butyl tape, and I'm getting ready to disarm this one. So it'll be a lot, at least easier in that regard, to get in here without cutting myself all up. All right, so I've done an initial clean out of the starboard side of the lazarette, and now it's time to climb in. And so you can witness this for yourself. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Sorta. If you're claustrophobic or your joints don't bend very well with a lot of pain and stuff, then this probably isn't for you. But alas, here we are. Okay, so here is where the vent hose comes through the bulkhead, and there it is. Destined for the great dumpster in the sky. Whew. And the new one is over here. In this box. All brand new, spanking new. And it's kind of like a slinky. But anyway, this vents the motor out the back of the boat. This is where it goes out, right here. And then the second hose that has to be replaced is this one. Point the camera in the right direction. This one, and this is the a drain hose for the cockpit drain called a scupper. So I'm going to get to work on this, and then we'll take a look at the aftermath. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a completed lazarette. Got the new vent hose on, new drain hose port, new drain hose starboard, new bilge pump outlet hose, and old steel reinforced hose that dumps the circulating water, cooling circulating water through the engine, dumps it out of the back of the boat. That is the original one, or not the original, but it's the, I haven't replaced it. And that's going to stay because it's still in good shape. So you can see I got my razors, my razor wire covered, and I should not have to get back down into the lazarette until quite some time in the future, when I want to get in there and do some sealing work. And of course, as I said in the last video, I want to take everything off of the transom so that I can paint the back of the boat, the back of the transom. So that's it from the lazarette. So this morning's task is to replace, I'm trying to finish cleaning up the lazarette, the area under the at the stern and under the cockpit. Trying to clean that up, replace all the hoses and everything as we've talked about before. I'm in the quarter berth here, right next to the other hole where I used to and still do access the motor from, at least from the rear. And this is the blower that I told you about in the last video, that blows any fuel fumes or any other thing, any other kind of combustible fumes out of the engine compartment. It blows it out the back of the boat via these this hose that you see here. And even though the hose on this end, where it comes through the bulkhead that you see back there with a hole in it, even though this end of it looks pretty good, it looks pretty bad out underneath the lazarette, out in the open there. So I'm replacing that today. So I need to take it off from here, pull it through the bulkhead after I fold up like a pretzel into the lazarette area, and then push the new one through and hook it up back here. So that's the first thing to do today, and let's get on with it. And I'll take you into the hole and let you see how I fold up like a pretzel. Okay, one last look at the quarter berth side of the bulkhead, and the new drain hose for the cockpit scupper. And I had to get a 90-degree fitting because the tubing was not, the hose was not as flexible enough to make that turn and go into the drain up there. So it is done. It is over, and at least for now. So onwards and up. So what I'm doing right now is installing a new device to hang the fenders from. The fenders, as you can see here, go in between the boat and the edge of the dock to prevent it for the hull from banging up against the side. And previously what we had is this, which just hangs. And so in order to get the fenders out of the way once you get underway, is to pull this off and lay the fender up on the side deck, as you see here. But what that does is it prevents you from being able to walk along the side deck, because you have to step over the fender. So this device allows you to pull the black trigger here and pull the fender up out of the water once you're underway, and then simply pull the trigger again and lower it down when you're coming back to your slip. So I'm changing these out from this to this. and it's going to work a lot better. And you know, I've got to say, just in commentary, that I really enjoy this kind of work more than engine, electrical, and crawling in a hole. Well, good morning. I just had to tell you about and show you a new occupant that I have on the boat. I would like to say that they are crew, but actually they are incapable of being crew. So let me show you what I have up here. I discovered this about 4 days ago, maybe a week. What do you think? So Kathy did a little research on this bird and discovered that it was a black-collared dove, and she found out that the daddy bird is the one that watches the bird in the daytime, and mommy watches it at night. So I think mommy goes to a day spa while daddy's watching the nest in the daytime. But I'll resume this video when I see daddy sitting on the nest. So there is daddy bird, I'm assuming, sitting on the nest. It's got to be kind of boring, but that's his job.